Hey folks, Nathan here. This is my YouTube channel, and this is episode 9 of our mini Q&A episodes. That is mini, M-I-N-I. We're aiming for about 20 minutes each time. At this point, I'm gathering up questions that were asked in the comments underneath the original 6 episodes of the Q&A. I recorded those all at once, just as number 7, number 8, this one, number 9, and probably a couple more are all being recorded on the same night again, very much like the last time, so you'll see the same shirt as a series, I guess, to let you know which ones are pulling from which set of questions. In any event, if you want to ask any questions for future mini Q&A episodes, you can put it in the comments underneath this video, and I'll go through and grab them just like I'm doing now, looking back at some of the previous ones. The idea here, of course, is to keep it short to about 20 minutes, so it's not long like some of my old Q&A episodes of the vlog, and I can get them out faster because of a more free-form editing style, talking style, and recording setup here. So, we pick up here with questions coming from, still, mini Q&A number 3. And the next question comes from Arnar Marvin. He asks, in your book, The Saga on Home Video, you mentioned you have sidebars for foreign releases that contribute in some significant way to the development of the franchise on home video, or are just far too cool to leave out. As your collection grows bigger, you're bound to come into possession of material that isn't all that cool, nor contributes to the development of the franchise on home videos significantly. It's not to say it wouldn't be interesting, but they may not really fall into those two categories, far too cool or significant. Would foreign releases like that still make it into future editions of your book if they were part of your personal collection? I haven't really decided on that. My guess is no, they would not if they didn't fit into the far too cool or significant understanding of the market kind of thing. But far too cool is very subjective, so it can mean pretty much whatever the hell I want it to mean. They would still be covered on my From the Star Wars Home Video Library video series, but it's really going to come down to a question of page count, of pictures needed, of file size and what's allowed, because CreateSpace is now going to Kindle Direct Publishing, and I think to be able to use the color images and come up with a format that works best in print but also retains its formatting in ebook form, I'm going to have to probably use the Kindle textbook creation process. And I'm just not sure what type of file size limits and whatnot I'm looking at there. And I'm already kind of pushing it because of the sheer number of photos in the book. So more than likely those things will be cut if those don't give some significant example of something to us that would work. Or it'll get shorter coverage, so maybe it only has one image instead of a bunch of images, which allows me to cover it, but not do so by sucking up a lot of file size space. But it's really a file size standpoint kind of question, rather than what to include or not in many respects. Another oddball question coming in from Brian Snook, and this is an oddball question, Brian. You knew this when you asked it. He says, Nate, has anyone ever told you that you look a little bit like Henry Rollins before he was given the Steve Rogers Super Soldier Serum? No. No one has ever told me that. And now I will not forget that the next time I see Henry Rollins. So, thank you? I can't tell if that was supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing, but okay. Then Corey Newell asks, do you think there'll be a complete series box set of Rebels in the near future? I'm waiting to buy the show as a whole. It's kind of weird. I honestly thought that we would get one right alongside the Season 4 set, just like we did with Clone Wars, although that was Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, and this was Walt Disney Home Entertainment. So the fact that we don't have one yet kind of suggests to me that we may not ever get one. We may be reaching a point where those types of larger home video sets are not on Disney's radar. Because remember, Disney is already doing the thing where at Walmart, if you buy a Blu-ray copy of a film, you aren't getting anything with it, not even a friggin' digital code at this point, which is asinine. So they're already kind of cutting back on what you're getting with your physical releases. I can't imagine them doing a double or triple up, even though double dipping and triple dipping has kind of been the norm in the past. It seems like Disney is really sort of taking a step back from that in terms at least of the television series. We're still getting multiple releases of the films, but from the standpoint of the TV series, it's pretty lackluster. And we haven't gotten releases of anything, for instance, from Forces of Destiny yet, except for Volume 1 being on a DVD packed in with some repackages at Christmas time, I guess it was last year, that most people didn't even realize existed over at Walmart. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we are because we haven't yet, but they could surprise me, and I'd love to have a complete series set for that one. But if they haven't yet, when would they do it? This jumps us to questions from mini Q&A number 4. A new question comes from Senator Confer. Confer had a lot of stuff in one of those Q&A episodes, an entire episode that was just his questions. And Senator Confer asked this time a little bit shorter answer. Thanks for answering my questions, although it kind of felt bad and I took up an entire video. To append this comment, here's my new question. What do you recommend to people that want to get into timelining one or more series that has or have been around for years and contain hundreds of different stories? Kind of like what I was getting into with adding summaries, I guess, to the Star Wars Timeline Gold as opposed to when I first started it. Because I first started it in 97. That was after already doing a personal list around 96-ish. If it's 95 and 96, I think it was all in 96. My recollection is fuzzy on it. So it was only a few years into the saga as far as the Legends continuity went. I would say start with the core stuff, right? So start with the stuff people would expect up front, assuming that you're going to release it as an ongoing thing as you add to it. So start with the stuff that people expect, the core stuff, and build out from there. Like, I would not have started a timeline for Star Wars if I was starting one today, which is way too much to do, so hell no. That's why I did it, for 20 some odd years. But I wouldn't start it today. I wouldn't have started that with like the beginning of the timeline and worked my way forward. I would have started with the movies, the TV series, and then got into the other stuff. If I were doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would be movies, then look at the TV shows, or movies and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe, and then the TV shows beyond Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the ones that have less relevance to what the movies have. And part of that is it's going to be easier for your audience to understand because they've got those signposts there, but it's also going to help you in terms of signposting as well, because whatever has the most relevance and is the most impactful and has the most, references and stuff in it that you're going to use needs to be there because it's going to form a landmark that you can base other things off of and cross-reference to it to make it easier on yourself. I mean, you may just remember all those landmarks, but it's always nice to actually have them in front of you and know those are done so you can build back or forward from them as they go. Then a comment, not a question, from Archive Arranger, who says, I'm also working on a home media project, and I'd be lying to say your work wasn't an influence. Thanks for steering me in the right direction. Awesome. Awesome. Good to hear. Although, that does also mean that I get the blame if you end up falling as deeply down the rabbit hole as I did with the Star Wars home video collecting, right? So I'll take credit, but I don't want to take the blame. Let's see. New questions coming from, let's see, Max Gamer XD asks, could you show a video of your smuggler's guide as I want to see it before I buy it? And there aren't any videos of it online. I actually just recently put one of those up specifically because I saw that question and said that I would do it. So, never say that I don't take requests. I don't usually take requests because I don't necessarily have time to do everything. But in that case, it was something that was still sitting out for me to read. So why not? Why not? So check that out here on the channel. Comments on multiple videos from Punk Nerd saying, please get the VHDs of Star Wars, right? Which I already have, and I've already done videos on, and can be easily searchable on the channel, but which I was asked repeatedly, even after answering that I already have, to say that I already have. So yeah, so if you want to see videos about the Star Wars VHDs from Japan, they're already on the channel. Search VHD. I'll jump real quick to mini Q&A number 6, because I actually had uploaded that about a week ago and hadn't actually made it go live until the same night that I'm recording all of these new ones. So there aren't a lot of questions posted on it. There's only one comment, and it's Brian Snook when I answered the comment, or I answered the question about my lightsaber collection, and said that really the only lightsaber that I had as a collection at all was the Hasbro Force FX one that's sitting on top of the DVD shelves in another room. And he says, no lightsabers, except the one right freaking behind you. Yeah, but I don't consider that lightsaber part of a lightsaber collection. It's part of my home video collection. Just like the Kylo Ren Jedi Challenges lightsaber and the Anakin/Luke/Rey lightsaber that's in the Jedi Challenges base set, I don't consider part of a lightsaber collection either. I consider them part of a game. So, yeah, I know he was joking. It says LOL, but still. I didn't realize at the time that that was sitting behind me, I guess. But yeah, I don't consider that part of a collection. It's a good distinction to draw, though, I think. Even in this day and age, you can still own stuff that you like, that you got a lot of, that's not actually a collection, per se. Okay, now getting back into the normal order here with mini Q&A number 5 and the questions posted on it. And then that will pretty much do it for us because that's all that we've got. My guess is this may take us into another video, though. It depends on how fast I can answer these. So, questions coming in from the Fazani Ferengi, who had quite a few questions in the previous episode here. Says, will the Republic Forces Radio Network Clone Wars reviews be up for a long time, or should I save them and put them on a hard drive since it might take a long time for me to rewatch Clone Wars? I like to listen to the reviews again many years later. Well, I have no idea. That's a good answer, right? Republic Forces Radio Network was something that was done under Venganza Media. It's the same group that does Marvelicious Toys and Now Playing podcast and Star Wars Action News. So they're all hosted over at Arnie and Marjorie's website as far as that goes. So I have no idea how long they will stay up. It may be, as long as they're doing podcasts, it may go down tomorrow for all I know. So yeah, I definitely say go ahead, and if you're going to know for sure you're going to listen to them in the future, you might as well go ahead and download them now and just store them somewhere. As far as Clone Wars stuff, though, if you're rewatching, I would be remiss if I missed a chance to put in a plug here. You may be going for more discussion, though, so this may not be appropriate. But remember, over at my Patreon, patreon.com/Nathan P. Butler, the reward that starts at the $5 tier, and then for everybody on up after that as well, is a series of Clone Wars audio commentaries as MP3s that you can listen to while watching episodes of the Clone Wars, where I do live commentary for all those episodes. We're basically nearing... I want to say we're getting close to the end of Season 2. It's in chronological order, so it's hard to say close to Season 2 because it's all jumbled in chronological order. But most of the Season 2 episodes are covered now. Pretty much all the Season 1 episodes except Hostage Crisis are covered now. I can't wait to hit the time jump. And I've actually got some episodes already recorded up through the one to be released on March 1st. 2 episodes worth of commentaries get released every month as a guarantee as part of that Patreon. And again, it's just a $5 and up tier to do that. Though from a practical standpoint, the $5 gets you access to all of them. So in theory, you could wait till right around the time that you're going to start rewatching Clone Wars, hop on the Patreon, do $5 for 1 month, download them all. Assuming that I'm done with them by then. Then if you want the future ones, wait a little bit and do it again. All right, let's see. Another question coming in. This one from Richard Canipe or Canape. Not sure which. Have you ever thought of reviewing Star Wars video games? This is one of those moments where I forget that people tend to know me from niches that I've done as opposed to kind of knowing the breadth and scope. So, Star Wars video games. I actually am one of 2 people hosting a podcast on Star Wars gaming called Cloud City Casino, which you can find over at StarWarsReport.com. It's me and Michael Morris. He started up the show. I came in to replace Bruce Gibson when he moved along mainly to Star Wars Report. But yeah, we do Star Wars video games and tabletop games and stuff like that, kind of a little bit of everything. But yeah, we talk Star Wars video games quite often on there, particularly when there's new stuff actually to talk about, though we have done some retrospectives recently. I also did video game reviews for Chrono Radio, my first podcast back in the day, a little bit for the Butlerniverse, which followed on from that, quite a bit for the EU Review, which followed on from that, and we talk about video games when appropriate, whenever there's a new video game out with story content to talk about, or in our year-in review episodes for Star Wars Beyond the Films, which is over at StarWarsReport.com as well at this point. I'm assuming you probably mean video content on the channel, though. And assuming that's the case, video game reviews, no. Video game live streams, yes. And I give my thoughts on it during the streams, but a lot of that's about the interaction with the people in the chat while I'm doing the stream, or to talk about new aspects of the game. Though somebody asked about, I think it was EK, asked about when I do more Battlefront 2 live streams. The nail is in the coffin on that at this point now. I will not be doing one for the Clone Wars content. The fact that General Grievous and Obi-Wan are the hyped-up characters to get people who stepped away from the game to come back for Clone Wars and play again, and each of them takes 35,000 credits to unlock, just made me say, hell with it, I'm done. And then, of course, right around the time I was trying to jump back into it to kind of see if I even wanted, to jump back into it at all, and researching the prices and seeing that they couldn't be bought for crystals and that sort of thing, as if I was going to pay for crystals anyway. That is right when that PlayStation 4 Pro died, as I talked about in the previous episode, and had to go in for repairs. So as I brought in the backup PS4 Pro, you might say the one had to be repaired before, because I've had two of them with their optical drives die now in less than a year and a half, one in less than a year. When I brought that one in, I needed space, so I got rid of Battlefront 2 on it, and I do not intend on installing it on the other one when it comes back from repairs either, so my Battlefront 2 days of playing are done, which also means the streaming is done. I don't typically do regular video game reviews, though, on the channel, because if you're doing those in video form, that's a lot of editing together, clips of gameplay along with your commentary to go with it. And to quote the lady played on the radio quite often during, was it the 2008 election? 2012 election? To quote the lady from the radio, ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, there's no way I would have time to actually do that. It's way too labor intensive as far as capturing the footage and scripting it out and that sort of thing. Maybe if I didn't have a kid and all the other projects, but not at this point. Although, the closest thing you could see to that probably is I am going to be doing some videos soon, if not out already, of showing the gameplay and doing some commentary for some of the gameplay again for Jedi Challenges now that the Dark Side expansion is out. I will also be doing at least one live stream to show the game, to go along with a bunch of videos about the physical components for the game Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is where those ships back there on the shelf come from. But that's probably the closest thing you're going to get to a video game review, at least on the channel. Another question from the Fazani Ferengi, who asks, I dislike Disney canon so much I started reading the EU. Okay. Are your old reviews of books and comics when they came out up somewhere? I'd love to listen to some. So anything from Star Wars Beyond the Films is still going to be up at StarWarsReport.com. That series, if I remember correctly, launched on my wife's birthday, January 4, back in 2012. So we are nearly at 7 years into that. So about the last 7 years of releases would be on there, if not individual episodes for discussion. But also we looked back and did some sort of retrospective type episodes. There's also the year in review episodes where we kind of hit things quickly and cover a lot of stuff for the year. Beyond that, though, I believe the EU review is no longer available. It used to be at solosound.net. I think that is down now. And ever since I sort of took down the archives over at StarWarsFanWorks.com and simplified that down to almost no site at all, just as a kind of a placeholder type of thing, my old Chrono Radio, Butlerniverse, and all that kind of stuff is no longer available. So Star Wars Beyond the Films you can still get, though I'm not sure how far back the archives go. I'm assuming it goes all the way back to episode number 1. I'm not really sure, but it'd be at StarWarsReport.com if so. With that, we'll wrap up this Q&A episode. We actually have just enough, I think, to get in one more episode, albeit maybe a shorter one, and then that'll wrap up this round of them where I'm wearing the, Boba Fett shirt throughout, recording them all on the same night, and then once all these are out, I'll gather questions from the comment section of this next round of videos, and then do another round of them, recording them all in one night. Kind of getting into that cycle that should hopefully allow more of these videos to come out more often for you, even if I'm recording them all at the exact same time. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, thank you for your interest, thank you for your questions, and I'll catch you on the next mini Q&A.